the GM of the Indiana Fever, Amber Cox, just took shots at the fans? You just came out and disrespected and took shots at Caitlin Clark fans for what? For what? For holding y'all accountable to do your damn job.
A destructive psychological illusion frequently infects the front offices of professional sports franchises right before a total collapse. Executive hubris. This occurs when general managers and corporate executives convince themselves that administrative brilliance is the true reason arenas fill up, believing a stitched logo carries far more value than the transcendent, once-in-a-generation athlete wearing the uniform. This exact terminal arrogance destroyed BlackBerry when they dismissed the iPhone. And right now in Indianapolis, Indiana Fever general manager Amber Cox is operating like a desperate BlackBerry executive, leading the biggest financial blunder in professional sports history. Welcome back to WNBA Pro, where the Amber Cox accountability moment has violently arrived as we tear off the doors to expose a front office blending fan alienation with the analytical reality of a collapsing roster. If you thought benching Caitlin Clark and fabricating injury reports marked the peak of this toxic season, brace yourself, because while the league investigates her franchise for consumer fraud, Cox took to social media to mock and troll the very fans keeping the lights on at Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Some of the things that this organization is doing, you mean to tell me the GM of the Indiana Fever, Amber Cox, just took shots at the fans?
When massive federal-level scandals surrounding Caitlin Clark's hidden injury status erupted this week, fans rightfully demanded answers after she was scratched just an hour before tip-off against the Portland Fire, deceiving thousands of paying customers. Major outlets like The Big Lead and Newsweek are reporting that the Fever's handling of her medical status flatly violated WNBA reporting rules, triggering a league review and infuriating betting markets while the franchise's integrity hangs by a thread. Yet while this public relations nightmare unfolded under her watch, General Manager Amber Cox was chronically online, obsessively tracking her mentions and firing off passive-aggressive tweets to antagonize her own customer base. Cox logged onto her account to post an Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell highlight clip, paired with a caption that served as a masterclass in toxic insecurity, writing, "In case you missed it, we won the game and these two showed out."
Boston, well, you know what? Build the team around them, trade Caitlin Clark so we can move the hell on, and all those national TV games, gone. You ain't got to worry about people holding you accountable. You don't have to worry about people actually giving a damn about the games. You don't have to worry about people buying tickets. You think you're giving away hot dogs, Twinkies, and bath bombs and free Victoria's Secret lingerie.
Let the pure arrogance of those words sink in, as that phrase is a direct, calculated shot at the millions of Caitlin Clark fans who actively boycotted the broadcast. She is willfully ignoring the massive reality that Clark was benched under incredibly suspicious circumstances and that her organization is facing a WNBA investigation, attempting instead to push a delusional narrative that the franchise functions perfectly fine without their generational point guard. The internet completely vaporized her in the replies, with one fan delivering a dose of visual reality by noting that the half-empty arena did in fact miss it, adding that she isn't building Apple and isn't as smart as she thinks. Another fan demanded the immediate firing of a clueless front office that is simply wasting Clark's time, proving that fans see a general manager far more invested in protecting her fragile ego than managing a multi-million-dollar crisis. This social media trolling is merely the tip of the iceberg, and to understand why the fan base demands her resignation, we must analyze the chronological timeline of her personnel failures dating back to April.
Sabotaged by the whole goddamn organization. For Lynn Dunn, are you gonna do something? You are the one that drafted her. Shout out to Angry Fan Sports. He even said it. You are the one that drafted her. Not Amber Cox and Kelly. They wasn't here. They weren't here. Are you going to do something? Caitlin Clark is being sabotaged by Stephanie White, Amber Cox, Kelly Crosskoff, and at this point, I'm thinking Lynn Dunn, your ass is in on it.
Strike one landed during the WNBA draft, where Amber Cox selected Raven Johnson and proudly labeled the pick a home run, explicitly telling the media that Johnson would transition into a combo guard. Applying the phrase combo guard to a franchise that already features the greatest point guard in human history was a calculated threat, signaling to the fan base that Cox drafted Johnson specifically to take the basketball out of Caitlin Clark's hands. Cox lit the match, head coach Stephanie White poured gasoline on the fire, and fans spent 3 weeks in a fury before training camp even started. Strike two is the mathematically indefensible roster construction that has left the Fever suffocating, highlighted by Cox handing precious salary cap space to Tiasha Harris, an aging veteran point guard, when the roster desperately needed a wing scorer. She followed that by giving a 2-year guaranteed contract to Monique Billings, a mid-tier role player, when she should have targeted a floor-stretching forward.
Shots at Caitlin Clark fans. I'm disgusted. This is embarrassing. This is unprofessional. What do you mean in case you missed it? What do you mean by in case you missed it? Is it because nobody's talking about the game? People are talking about the fact that you were scamming the fans? The fact that thousands of people bought tickets and once they found out Caitlin Clark wasn't playing, they didn't go to the game? Is that what you mean by...
The absolute pinnacle of this front office incompetence is the Shatori Walker-Kimbrough disaster, where Cox signed her to a $300,000 veteran minimum contract that counted $277,000 against the salary cap. She kept her hostage on the active roster for 5 games, allowing Stephanie White to play her for just 7 minutes of meaningless garbage time, while Caitlin Clark was ground into physical dust, playing 37 minutes a night, only to unceremoniously waive her on Thursday afternoon. This represents profound, expensive organizational confusion rather than roster management. You do not sign a veteran, watch your starting point guard break down from exhaustion and overtime losses, refuse to use your depth, and then throw that depth in the garbage. Every single one of those decisions squandered vital cap space that could have surrounded Clark with pieces designed to fit her generational transition system, leading directly to Strike 3, the ultimate failure of executive oversight in the injury reporting scandal.
This girl was selling out arenas home and away every single night. That shot of the crowd, that empty crowd, that's due to you, Amber Cox. That's due to you, Stephanie White. Amber Cox, you acting like you off the hook. We was saying all off season, all free agency. Where's the size at?
As general manager, Amber Cox oversees all franchise operations, meaning that whether or not Commissioner Kathy Engelbert drops the hammer for the Portland Fire scratch, the optics of hiding the medical status of the face of the league lands squarely on Cox's desk. Sports gambling markets, television networks, and fans who travel hours and spend thousands of dollars all rely on absolute medical transparency. Yet Cox offered them a late scratch and a sarcastic tweet instead. To maintain complete credibility, we must acknowledge that Cox has supported Clark in isolated PR moments, defending her against controversial comments from Mystics co-owner Sheila Johnson, tracking down a fan who went viral opening a Clark jersey, and praising her Nike partnership and Time Athlete of the Year honors. However, public relations statements become entirely meaningless when actual basketball decisions actively sabotage the player you praise, as every positive statement is immediately contradicted by a disastrous roster move. She praised Clark's economic impact but signed Damiris Dantas, a center too slow for a transition offense, while her management of the injury report drew massive scrutiny from the league itself, meaning the clock is ticking with exactly 48 hours to reverse this damage.
One of these games for the Caitlin Clark rookie year going into her second year. Look at what you guys have done. And you want to take shots at the people. The people have already shown you they're not rocking with what you're doing. They're not showing up. They're not supporting. Look at how empty this damn arena is now. Amber Cox, you have...
First, Cox must fill the vacant roster spot left by Walker-Kimbrough with a player who addresses the team's glaring structural needs, choosing between elevating 6'4" sharpshooter Justine Pissot from her developmental contract, executing a PR masterstroke by signing Clark's close friend and trusted enforcer Kate Martin to repair locker room chemistry, or finding a free agent wing scorer. What she absolutely cannot do is sign another redundant, undersized guard to sit in street clothes and collect a paycheck. Second, she needs to issue a transparent, professional public statement regarding Clark's injury status ahead of the game against the Golden State Valkyries, clearly outlining workload limits and medical protocols so the star is never hidden from the injury report again. Finally, Cox must log off social media and read the room. When you are under investigation for consumer fraud and your arena is half empty because fans feel betrayed, you do not troll your own customers. The Fever possess the raw talent to win a championship this October, but ego-driven decisions from the front office are undermining that potential at every turn. Smash the subscribe button right now for the high-octane GM accountability the mainstream media is terrified to provide. Leave your honest take in the comments on whether ownership should fire Cox, and hit the notification bell as we document every chaotic move before Friday's deadline. See you in the next video.